Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Stone Cold Steve Austin impersonator Phil McDonald, here to tell you to go support Going In Raw and Friendo Club at patreon.com/Steven Larson. They got bonus episodes, ad-free audio, a weekly newsletter rounding up the week in wrestling news, and a bunch more. Patreon.com/Steven Larson. Go support or get hit with a stunner.
Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steven Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found. And of course, taped live at the twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. Oh boy. Talking about WrestleMania hangover. I had one beer yesterday. But
yeah, same. And I'm just gassed.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely gassed.
Yeah, man. But there's all sorts of post-WrestleMania news to talk about, mainly about Cody, because, man, he has been a chatty Cathy lately, Larson.
Yeah.
Ever since his debut at WrestleMania.
For what, 2 months now?
Oh, man.
He just wants to talk.
He's got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about our thoughts about NXT's Stand and Deliver. First up, want to give a quick happy birthday wish to our best friendo, Maggie. Happy birthday, Maggie. Hopefully you have a good one today.
Happy birthday.
Let's just dive into this, man. So, Cody, now that he's finally made his return to the WWE at WrestleMania 38, he's finally broken his silence on why he left AEW and brought him back. He's going to give us the real reason why he left AEW.
Man, he's had like 10 interviews since Saturday. He can give the real reason to any of that stuff.
10 different real reasons. So he spoke to Ariel Helwani following his match on Saturday against the visionary Seth Rollins, and he spoke about why he left AEW. So let's start here. These transcripts come to you via Fightful. He said this: "Unfortunately, I can't comment on the personal matter itself. Tony Khan, who I have genuine respect for, and I hope history is really kind to, because he bankrolled this entire grassroots movement starting in Ring of Honor, then All In happened, AEW happened, then he was able to buy that footage back. I felt like we were drifting apart. Had I asked him for this, he's the type of man that would have given it to me. It just genuinely felt like it was time. I can't comment on the personal nature. It was nothing nefarious or scandalous, just we couldn't agree. Nothing but respect for him, his family, and the infrastructure there. I had a wonderful experience there, and I feel the experience had maxed out. You never want to get into a situation where the love goes away. I wanted to keep the love. I know Matt, Nick, and Kenny, I don't know if they sit in circles and hate on me or talk poorly about me. I hope they wouldn't. But if they don't know, I try to tell them on a regular basis I absolutely love those guys. Instrumental. We did it together. I helped them. They helped me. I have nothing but love, and I'll always be that way." Fast forward to an interview with The Ringer, and Cody added this. These transcripts come to you from WrestlingNews.co. He says, "I am so proud of AEW. God, I'm so proud. I'm so proud of Matt and Nick, Kenny, and I really want to see Tony move forward and no bad blood in the best of ways and all the respect in the world. But the decision to come here was the easiest decision I ever made. It was just time. That show was doing well. Wrestlers getting paid that weren't getting paid, and I had a small part in making that happen, or maybe kind of a big part. I don't know. It depends on who you ask. But I'm so proud of it. It's one of those things. How much are you going to do for everybody else until you say, you know what? I want one for me. And I felt like that tonight." So we'll pause there. There's more to talk about. But what do you make from this first big batch of Cody?
I mean, there's a lot. This is just a very small, like, distillation of what he has said across multiple interviews. There's a lot to get through. I tried to focus on the most, substantial parts of the narrative of why he left one company and went to another. Mm-hmm. But there is a lot more. He talked about, I'm paraphrasing, hey, it's cool to be an executive for a day, but you don't dream to be an executive. You dream of being a wrestler and winning championships,
Yeah, right.
And that kind of, let's get to the stuff about why he is going to WWE, because it kind of goes back to the first interview that was issued after he debuted with Variety that we covered in our day one recap. So in that same interview with The Ringer, Cody also discussed meeting with Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard and alluded to what led him to come back to WWE. These transcripts, again, from WrestlingNews.co. That's what Cody said, quote, I could tell you one of the most special parts of it was that Bruce, the chairman himself, Vince, flew down to meet me. Had that meeting not led to anything, had it just been a conversation about wrestling and sports entertainment, would have been great closure on the last loop. Because, I mean, I left here on the worst of terms. I talked all the smack on earth, but none of it mattered. It was just, hey, you went out and did it. I remember saying, I have to be me. It has to be the American nightmare. To hear Vince say, well, it's not broken. That's what we're buying. Again, just vindication. It felt good. You spent all this time trying to prove people wrong who doubted you and prove people right who were on board with you. But in that moment, it was just closure on the last loop and excitement for what's next. And I mean, I'm going to talk about it on Raw, and I'll probably limit it, but it's pretty clear what I came to do. Pretty clear. There's unfinished business for my family. And there's something we never got, and I want to be the one to get it. So in the Variety interview, it opens up with a story he's telling about Dusty challenging superstar Billy Graham in Madison Square Garden for the WWF title and not winning it. And that belt is in Cody's possession, that actual belt, because Dan Lambert gave it to him. But one thing he's mentioned throughout these interviews is essentially he'll kind of skirt around it, but pretty much as he wants to win the WWF title because his dad never got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's pretty much what he's getting at.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's also talk about that for a second here. Does that give us any clues in terms of the speculation that Dave Meltzer had that Roman's just going to be like, here, Raw, the title's yours. I'm on Fox. Fox wanted me. I'm on something, which was kind of a hint also when he said Fox came begging. Does that give us any idea, any reason to believe? I don't think Cody is going to beat Roman. That's not going to be a thing. But he could easily beat any of the guys in the upper mid card on Raw, which is now their main event scene if you take Roman out of it. Blue Edge, I think he's got a great case to be the first. Let's assume that Raw's going to get that title back and it's going to be vacated. They'll have a tournament or they'll have, whatever they're going to have at WrestleMania Backlash. Maybe that's going to be the big selling point for WrestleMania Backlash is a new champion crowned. And Brock will take his vacation, whatever. That you have a lot. It's a lot more of an even playing field if Brock's not there. And Cody is clearly one of the top contenders for that title, and that's a title with the lineage. I suspect that's the one that he would really want. He's a big history guy, and if he's referring to his dad's history, that's what he's going to be going after. I wonder if that conversation they had anything to do with, well, if you're really back here for that goal, we can't necessarily promise you anything, but Roman's not going to be the guy standing in your way of the lineage title for the next 2 years or whenever they find somebody to beat Roman. You'll have an opportunity at that here. Do you think that might have played into it at all?
It could be. It could be because you mentioned, the WWE title is the title with the lineage. It could be, and I mentioned earlier the quote from Cody about, being an executive was fun, but you don't dream of being an executive when you're a kid. You dream of being a champion. He talks about taking himself out of the AEW title picture.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard the audio, but based on the transcripts, sounds like that's something he might have regretted.
I sort of got that same feeling from it too. Yeah. Maybe, what is he's pushing 40. I think he also walked back the idea of retiring at 40, which he talked about before too.
He did.
I think that, anytime, dude, he raised his stock significantly, but at the end of the day, if he's saying, I tried the executive thing, I tried the manager thing, and I just want to be a wrestler. I want to be Maggie clarifies he's 36. I want to be wrestler. And it goes back to right now there's a generation of kids, teenagers, people in their early 20s coming up, and the idea of what the boyhood dream might be shifting because of AEW. But with WWE still able to put on the biggest shows, and emphasizing their history, which they did last night with Stone Cold and Vince McMahon, among other things, in the goofiest way possible. His boyhood dream still seemingly is to, hey man, the title means something. The title means, for some people it doesn't mean anything. For him, clearly it means something. Or at least that's what he's pushing as his story for coming back to WWE. Maybe it was all just about the money and getting away from, man, being a executive vice president is a pain in the ass. So much paperwork, people coming to you for decisions, and now I can't even vie for my own world title. I don't know. I don't know
either. I don't know. I mean, he Cody and seemingly Tony Khan too is just content to not get the details, which is, classy move on both parties. They don't want to spread gossip or whatever about each other in the press. And it's a personal issue apparently they couldn't overcome, despite seemingly having some mutual respect for each other.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, it's Tony Khan's money. It's his company.
Yeah.
And seemingly, I mean, from what everybody else said, from what Kenny Omega, which he's always seems to be on the level about things, but seemingly what everybody has said is Tony Khan, a guy who had as much experience booking wrestling as you or I have, shows up. He's got a lot of money. He's plugged in terms of understanding the product, understanding there's a niche out there, and saying, "Hey guys, you can book your way, all over this place. You can craft your own company here." But then at the end of the day, once he figures out how to do all that, he's like, "Well, I think I know how to do this. I think I understand better than the others. I'm going to turn this around, and it's going to be the Tony Khan show," and that's what it's become.
Yeah.
And at that point, Cody, it's like on the outside, like, why am I even an EVP? Like, he probably had to deal. Maybe he just took on the executive vice president role because he wanted some creative outlet for wrestling as well.
That could be.
And then once that was lost, it's like, well, I'm just stuck with being a vice president who come home and do that. I want to wrestle.
Yeah. That could be. Final little bit from Cody here. He also mentioned in the Ringer interview that he had, quote, maybe the most complex document or contract ever drawn up in the history of our game. But this new multi-year deal with WWE apparently does include, at least in writing, anything on the subject of Stardust. But Cody did mention to Ariel Helwani, and these transcripts come from Wrestling Inc., that, quote, there aren't any true guarantees. There was a request. I said I never want to see Stardust ever again, and I never want to hear it or talk about it. And it was a handshake, and that was all I needed. So, I mean, maybe he's just, being pretty casual about referencing it. Maybe it is written in the deal. I don't know. But based on this, he just seemed like, all right, Vince, no Stardust. Shake hands. Good, But it could be in the contract. Who knows? He says, then the first thing I did in the match last night was a random Stardust reference. I thought, what are you doing? You're going back on your own strange request. Other than that, it was complex to get this all together. Maybe one of the wrestling's biggest contracts, which I'm so flattered about. So hopefully in this complex contract, he negotiated some guarantees for himself in terms of, because elsewhere, in another one of these interviews, he talks about, the first time a writer comes up to him and asks him to do something, he's like, I'm not going to be rude. But he said pretty much, I'm going to lie to their face, say this is great, and then do his own thing,
That's terrific. Yeah, look.
So hopefully, if it's that complex, you got to think. I think he referenced that he got a bus from his deal. Wow. So Brandy and his kid can come with him.
That's awesome.
On the road. So, if he managed to get pretty much all he wanted, negotiated in writing in his contract.
Yeah.
Good for him. And making a ton of money in the process.
There's also the understanding, you and I have said this, and the history backs it up. When they throw that much money at a person, when you orchestrate the most complex deal in WWE history, they really want you, and they're not gonna shoot you down. They're not gonna shoot you down the ladder, man. I mean, that's not gonna happen. And again, like I've said before, people have sat out for less. It's like he's got plenty of money. We know that.
Oh yeah.
If they say, hey, if they're at an impasse, guess what? He's gonna. And here's the thing: he'll sit out, and he's savvy enough to know that whenever it gets figured out, he'll be a bigger deal when he returns. So he's done his job for himself and for, if you want to call it, his brand. He's done his job. Starting AEW and keeping himself relevant, that was his job. Now he's cashing in on the biggest stage of them all to try to get that one thing that he wants that his dad didn't get, I guess, or whatever his actual story is. And he's in a great spot. And if they say, hey, you're going to start chasing 24/7 title, all right, well, I'm going to head home.
They don't work for me, brother.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't work for me, brother. So good for him. That's awesome.
Yep. Indeed.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm interested to read up and hear a bunch of more of that Cody stuff, because it's pretty interesting. And again, tonight on Raw, we got the Raw After Mania tonight. I'm sure, he's even said that he's going to be there and explain himself to a degree.
Yeah.
And we'll see how that pans out. All right, let's take a break here to get a word in from our sponsor, BetterHelp. People don't always recognize the physical symptoms of stress. Headaches, teeth grinding, sleeping too much or too little, and digestive issues can all be indicators of stress.
Yeah, and having dealt with anxiety myself for most of my adult life, I can definitely tell tales of many nights laying awake, just stressing about a variety of things. But it's moments like that where you got to remind yourself that you got to take care of yourself and try to find someone to talk to. And having gone through the process of trying to find a therapist, I know how difficult it can be to find a therapist that you feel comfortable speaking with. But with BetterHelp, you get customized online therapy that makes that process much more convenient by offering video, phone, even live chat therapy sessions.
So give BetterHelp a try and see if online therapy can help lower your stress. Right now, BetterHelp is offering Going In Raw listeners 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/raw. That's BetterHelp.com/raw.
Let's get a word from our sponsor, Raycon. So, Steve, we may be 4 months into 2022, but that doesn't mean we can't all shake things up. Maybe try out a new workout routine or travel someplace new. Whatever way you decide to make a change, there's no better way to do it than with a pair of Raycon wireless earbuds in your ears.
Yeah, man, whether you're going to a new gym or traveling to a new destination, Raycon wireless earbuds are the best way to bring audio with you, and their everyday earbuds look, feel, and sound better than ever.
Yeah, they've got optimized gel tips for the perfect in-ear fit. Their earbuds fit so well they don't budge at all. Whether I'm running or doing burpees, these things aren't moving. Steve, look, I'm going to shake my head.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm shaking my head right now.
I can see that.
And they're not coming out.
I know.
They're staying in my ears.
Wow.
See? They stay in my ears. But Raycons also give you the audio quality you need at half the price of other premium audio brands.
And right now, Going In Raw listeners can get 15% off their Raycon order at buyraycon.com/raw. That's buyraycon.com/raw to save 15% on Raycons. buyraycon.com/raw. All right, before we get back to the show, let's get a word in from our sponsor, Chime. Hey, Larson.
Yeah.
You know me, man. I don't like to wait for stuff, and I really don't like to wait to get paid, especially when I've got bills due.
Yeah, man. Waiting is no fun. No fun at all. But with Chime, you can get your paycheck up to 2 days early with direct deposit. That's two more days to save or pay bills. And while getting paid early is wonderful, it's fantastic, there's a lot more to Chime. It's also an award-winning mobile app, checking account, debit card, and they even offer an optional savings account.
So what are you waiting for? Hopefully not your paycheck. Get started with Chime today. Applying for a free account takes less than 2 minutes and does not affect your credit score. Get started at chime.com/raw. That's chime.com/raw.
Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank or Stride Bank NA, members FDIC. Early access to direct deposit funds depends on payer.
Yeah, anyways, I don't know where I was going with that. NXT Stand and Deliver, Larson. Let's just talk about that.
Let's talk about that. That was Saturday before day one of WrestleMania. It was a fun show.
I had a thought, and it just ran the fuck away from me, man.
Had a long weekend, dude.
Brain pranks.
Long weekend.
I'm getting playing brain pranks on me, dude.
Exactly. Really fun show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The weekly TV is kind of hit or miss. They're definitely still in the phase, and I said this several times, where they're just throwing stuff at the wall and see what sticks. But when they have these special events, they're not takeovers anymore, apparently. Mm-hmm. We've seen 2 of them now in the 2.0 era, and they both delivered in terms of giving us good matches.
Yeah.
And I thought this week's, or Saturday's, was no exception. Some surprising outcomes, though. I'm not necessarily surprised that Raquel Gonzalez, Dakota Kai won the tag titles. I'm just kind of surprised it happened so quickly and on the kickoff show, because that's kind of in the stories going on in NXT. That's kind of a major thing.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe that they would have a moment like that on the actual main card or main event, an episode of NXT itself, not on a kickoff show.
I kind of wonder if, because doing the Dusty Cup and then putting Io and Kaylee Ray in the title match, that seemed like it might have been some sort of on-the-fly change-up of things.
It seemed like it, yeah.
It didn't seem like a natural flow from one story beat to the other.
No.
And so I wonder if, given that, they were like, hey, at the last minute, I don't know, maybe main roster wants Toxic Attraction. I know, like, they probably would have got that title off Mandy if that was the case, but maybe main roster wants Gigi and JC. I don't know.
I don't know.
But yeah, no, yeah, it is kind of odd that they do that on the kickoff show. But maybe they just, maybe it's this. Maybe they're like, hey, NXT 2.0 has had kind of a difficult time generating like buzz, especially the way NXT 1.0 used to with their takeovers. Yeah. Maybe they were thinking we need some buzzworthy moment to sort of open the show in the kickoff to get people to tune in. That's the only thing I can really think about.
Yeah, I had thought that too. But yeah, otherwise I try and make heads or tails of it. I didn't quite get it, but hey.
I mean, it's whenever you try to make heads or tails of something, it's always the simplest thing. It's like you ask Bruce Pritchard,
Yeah.
Conrad asked Bruce, well, we wanted something big in the kickoff show to get people to tune in.
Yeah.
What did Vince think about that? God damn it.
God damn it, pal. That's great.
Oh, man. Yeah, so what do you make of what's up with Braun Breaker? Why is he such a loser?
Oh, he's got to be going to main roster soon.
You think so?
I mean, here's like, because the story they're telling with Braun Breaker in NXT is that he's for 2.0, he's pretty good.
Yeah. But
you put him in the ring against anybody who has any measure of experience, and he can get duped like super easily. Like that happened first time he wrestled Champa. He figured that out.
Mm-hmm.
But then he's gotten duped. He got duped into getting a triple threat match for the title, which he lost.
Yeah.
And then he gets duped. Duped is kind of a strong word, but like Dolph has the veteran savvy to take advantage of.
Yeah.
Take advantage of Braun's inexperience.
Outclassed.
And that's the story they've been doing consistently with Braun.
Yeah.
And every time I think, okay, this is the story beat where they're going to say, oh, Braun has overcome his inexperience or had enough experience, to overcome that. And they don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like right now, he got pinned relatively clean, middle of the ring by Dolph in a one-on-one bout. Like, what's the avenue for him to go back for the title? And if he's not going to go back for the title, and if they think he's ready enough for main roster, what's the point in keeping him in NXT?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll find out, but it was certainly
you got the story of him in NXT where he's good to a point.
What, he fails his way up to main roster?
Exactly. And he goes to main roster where everybody has way more experience than him. I mean, and that's assuming they're going to continue any semblance of the story they're telling in NXT. Which
that's kind of where I would say, okay, that there's your answer, is that they don't care about the fucking NXT story.
No, they don't, not at all.
No.
But at the same time, if you're one of the 600,000 people who watch NXT every week and are familiar with the Braun Breaker character, and he comes up to Raw, and they portray him as, like the guy who can beat everybody, is like, no.
Mm-hmm.
He gets duped by veterans.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, I honestly don't know. I mean, Ciampa's already on main roster. We saw that in the Andrew the Giant, the Giant Battle Royal. Yeah, it's such a huge, goodbye to NXT. And he was on WrestleMania SmackDown, getting eliminated in that stupid Battle Royal
by Dolph. He didn't get an entrance. No entrance for him.
I honestly, I hope and pray they do right by him on main roster, but I have this sinking feeling. Like, what's a worst case? Like 24/7, he's not going to be making out with Tamina in the 24/7 division. That's for legit comedy acts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm trying to think like if he's like an Apollo Crews, that's kind of a worst case scenario, isn't it? The guy who's kind of on TV sometimes.
I was thinking like Worst case scenario is like Drew Gulak. Someone who's really a really good wrestler who can do good character stuff. They don't utilize it all.
I suspect Drew Gulak does a lot of backstage. Like, they're going to groom him
Entirely
to be a producer. But that could be the same thing for Champa. He's probably around the same age as Gulak.
Yeah.
Same amount of experience. So just put him on TV every once in a while to job to people, and backstage he's doing all sorts of good work with people. I mean, if he's happy doing that, cool. I don't know if he would be, though. And I wouldn't be happy as a fan.
No.
Worst case, like, is Butch? Butch has got to be some sort of worst case scenario these days, right? Butch is like worst case if you're in NXT UK. You get turned into a completely different human being.
Yeah, I know. I mean, so far, knock on wood, Champa has managed to avoid that. He's still Tommaso Ciampa. He's still more or less who he was in NXT for the time being. Say that couldn't change, but didn't change with his call up. So,
man, I'm telling you, man, how awesome would, like, you know, Triple H? He was on TV last night. How cool? Who was it that brought that idea up yesterday? Triple H, you know, saying, "Hey, Cody, you know, I've seen the shots you took at me. Here's my plan B, and it's Champa versus Cody for the first feud, and Cody could win that, whatever. Just give that.
That's good matches. Yeah,
cool would that be?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Champa has to come in and win everything. Just have him be involved in interesting stuff and let him showcase what he can do at this juncture.
Let him talk. He's just going to be like a silent dude who you just sort of see.
He's in there and has good 7-minute matches that he ultimately loses. I know that's the worry. I know.
He's going to
after being such a focal point, being so like necessary to NXT 1.0 for that spell. And he's just they bring up the main roster and he's just another guy.
The singles version of Hurt Business. That'd be terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Well, how they are now, you know, Cedric and Shelton.
Yeah.
Just dudes who come out, get annihilated by a Moss. And then, you know, go back to, God, that would suck. Let's just dive into this and we'll get to the bits along the way, man.
Sure.
Kicked off with a kickoff show had Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai winning the tag titles. Did Wendy Chu get involved in this one?
Yeah, she did it. She did towards the end. I saw.
Yeah. So that's good.
That was the thing. I wasn't sure if she was going to help Dakota and Raquel win or inadvertently or purposely lead to their defeat. And so I was like, I'll go the safe route and just pick Toxic Attraction to retain.
Toxic Attraction. The actual show kicked off North American title ladder match. These are always fun. And this was no different because it had like some really terrific competitors in it, man. Of course, you had Santos Escobar, you had Carmelo, you had Cameron Grimes, you had Grayson Waller. Has there been any official update on Grayson Waller? We're going to have to wait till tomorrow on NXT to find that one out.
Probably. One thing I liked about this ladder match that you don't often see in ladder matches is a lot of people had their entourages.
Yes, all the entourages.
And they were like really involved in the match.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Trick got involved.
Sangha
Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza got involved. Elektra Lopez got involved. Sangha got involved.
Yeah.
And it was a different dynamic. And it made it fun.
It did. It made it fun, and they all sort of took each other out of it. You know, that's what you sort of notice. Like, okay, well, obviously the elephant in the room is all these guys have other multiple people back in their play, and they found very creative ways of just taking everybody out of it. Like you had Joaquin Wilde and the other dude taking out Sangha, and then he was like throwing them around, and then Elektra Lopez comes down, et cetera, et cetera. I thought all that stuff was really, really good. Grayson Waller, I did really like the story that they were telling with Grayson Waller. It's like, I've got this opportunity to go viral, but the title's up there, and then he tries and he fails that, and so eventually he does, take the opportunity to go viral, and what happens? He takes himself out of the match.
Yeah.
I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was well done. The finish saw that happen. And then Carmelo starts climbing the ladder. Santos pulls him off, hits him with the Phantom Driver. And then Santos gets up. Grimes hits him with a cave-in off the top rope. He climbs the ladder, gets North American title. I mean, based on the story they were doing with Grimes leading up to this, it made all the sense in the world for him to win.
He was my number 2 guy. But then I also, dude, here's the thing. This is why I don't feel bad about picking Carmelo. Because they clearly love him. And number 2... Grimes could have easily told the story. Like it's one of those things where I just saw it in my head where, he just fails and fails and fails. And I didn't think that this was going to be the next thing. I just, his character is so boring. He is like, he's had the opposite of like a fresh coat of paint. They've stripped the good paint away from him, and now he's just sad sack Cameron Grimes with no fun accent, no like, exaggerated features. He's just bummed out about his dad. So yeah. I don't know. That's cool. I just hope that we get to see some sort of personality from Cameron Grimes, because as long as I've been watching Trevor Lee, he's been nothing but personality, and then he hits NXT 2.0 and he just hits a wall.
Which it's interesting, because 2.0 is all about huge characters and huge personalities.
I know. You'd have thought he'd like fit right in.
I know. After that, we had Tony D'Angelo versus Tommaso Ciampa. Ciampa gets a really nice video package before his entrance, pretty much highlighting his entire tenure in NXT. And then during his entrance, he does the Triple H water spit deal. He gets in the ring, strikes the HBK pose. This was a fun match, and Tony D'Angelo goes and tries to get his crowbar from between the ring steps and apron. He swings at Ciampa. Ciampa ducks that, kicks Tony. Crowbar goes flying, so the ref picks it up and throws it out of the ring. And so while that happens, Tony hits a low blow, spinning neck breaker. Ciampa kicks out of that. So Tony goes back to the timekeeper area to get the crowbar. As he's getting back in the ring, Ciampa hits him with Willow's Bell. Ciampa falls with Fairy Tale Ending. D'Angelo kicks out of that. And then Ciampa locks on a Gargano escape. That was cool. So Tony gets the bottom rope. He rolls out of the ring. Earlier, Ciampa had pulled back the match ringside. He looks for a German suplex on there. Tony evades that, hits DDT, puts Ciampa back in the ring, just boots him in the head, and then covers him to get the win. Afterwards, crowd chants, "Thank you, Ciampa." He goes up the ramp. Triple H meets him up there, and they have a nice moment.
It was an awesome moment. It was really great. Was. This is just pure stupidity fantasy booking. You know who could have used this a lot more than Tony D'Angelo? Solo Sikoa. They should have flipped those guys. Solo Sikoa versus Ciampa. They have kind of a similar vibe. Loner types, no nonsense, violent guys. Have Solo Sikoa go in, because he was sort of like not. Solo had some really cool moments during the ladder match. He's a really fun wrestler. Tony D'Angelo, I just feel like take one guess as to what we're going to see from Tony D'Angelo on Tuesday.
This could be him. Oh, it'll be another one of the similar kind of vignettes he does, where he's dropping a promo from some locale, making allusions to a restaurant, maybe back to the docks. I don't know.
Yeah.
Making references to organized crime. That's what it's going to be.
That's exactly what it's going to be. He benefits nothing from this because he's essentially a one-dimensional character.
Yeah, I guess in a sense he benefits from beating one of the cornerstones of NXT 1.0, but by beating Ciampa, he can call himself the Don of NXT, but it's not like his character can really develop anymore. Whereas Solo Sikoa feels like there's a higher ceiling on his character.
Right, yeah.
Because it's not so limited.
Which is why I believe he would get more out of a win against Ciampa. Yeah. No, Solo's story is fucking interesting as hell. Like, it's clear, and they've even made reference to the fact that he's an Uso brother. But, he talks about the island and being, the guy being basically left out. There's a lot you can mine there, especially with what they do in the Bloodline over in NXT. There's a lot that they can mine there. And so, I don't know. I feel like a big spotlight match like that would just go way further than Tony D'Angelo, who, like you said, hey, I'm the Don. But what does that even mean? He's still going to have a ceiling,
It's such a nebulous concept.
Yeah.
Within like NXT.
Yeah, I know.
It's like you're giving yourself a title, but it doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah. Mr. Sinister in your chat, I'm going to call him out. He says, to think Steve was all in on Tony D at one point. That was the first episode of NXT, and I was all in an ironic sense, because it was like, what is this? And then when he showed up and he wrestled, and it was like, okay, it's funny. But it's really limited, and there has been zero growth since then. There has been no growth whatsoever since then.
It's all very one note. I know.
Yeah, it is.
Then we got the Creed brothers versus MSK versus Imperium for the tag titles. Another fun match. Weird we didn't see Pretty Deadly or whoever attacked the Creed brothers interfere to cost them the championships. Instead, they just got wrecked by Imperium.
They did, yeah.
They
The
got
cannonball
wrecked.
was awesome, though.
That was fantastic. Brutus hitting that cannonball off the top was awesome.
It was
awesome.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, dude, I feel you on that. And it'd be great to have a debuting team in that big venue, in front of all those people on a big platform. But like, I just kind of feel like people be like, "Who the fuck are those guys?"
No, I understand that, but if you debut them in a huge way in a big show in front of a large crowd,
it gives them, yeah,
it makes them seem important. Even if you have no idea who they are,
right? Yeah, it's like, oh, who are those guys?
Exactly.
So I wish they would have. It's got to be pretty deadly. Like we
think so.
we put
Maybe
the
they don't
pieces
know.
together. They spray painted "Don't Cry." It's the name of their finisher.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, Imperium takes out the Creeds. Bartel destroys Julius with an uppercut into the ring steps, and then they hit their finisher on Brutus off the apron. They look for the finisher on Nash Carter in the ring. He reverses, and then MSK hits a top rope head scissor powerbomb combo to get the win. They're the new tag champions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Still weird they even got in that match.
They really didn't belong there. They didn't do anything. Yeah. They were just like
it's so much of this card seems like, well, we're gonna go one way. Changing our mind. We're gonna do this instead.
Yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be kind of I wonder. There's got to be some call ups tonight and Friday. You think
so.
right?
I think so. Like EO could definitely be called up.
There was no preview as of this morning. There was no Raw preview.
Yeah, I know
that. I honestly wonder because they have been putting in. Last year and this year they threw a lot into WrestleMania. Makes you wonder if the Raw after Mania at this point is just sort of their hungover too, and they don't actually have a plan for the Raw after Mania. They just go we'll just put on some matches.
Oh, preview's up. Just went up. As you mentioned it, you manifested it, Steve. Here, let's get through this and we can get through it.
Ooh, exciting. Okay, there's a tease for you. Let's see here. After that, we had a Nikita Lyons video package with some dancing.
I think it was the same one.
Yeah.
The last of the three they did of her. I think it was the same one.
Yeah. Some nice dancing there. We had Cameron Grimes' interview after that, where he's asked, "What does this mean for him?" And he's like, "Well, I'm kind of in shock. I've been working my ass off for 3 years because this is where I wanted to be. My father told me I'd be a WWE superstar. Now I'm more than a superstar. I'm a champion. To the moon." I miss the old Cameron Grimes.
All right, let's talk about this because I'm still not sure what to make of this.
Dude,
so they go to
I was fucking floored at this.
Yeah, this was something else. So early in the day, they have Joe Gacy and Harlan because they're in Dallas for Stand Deliver. That's where WrestleMania is. And so they go to Dealey Plaza.
Oh my! Did commentary say that it was that? I mean, Wade Barrett made the grassy knoll reference afterwards.
Yeah.
When I saw where they were, because you and I were big fans of the movie JFK, and we had seen all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
When I saw the cars going by, I was like, "That's the fucking book depository." Oh my God, they're at Dealey Plaza. So for those of you who may not know, who are like, what are they talking about? It was the spot where JFK was assassinated.
Yes. November 22nd, 1963. Yes.
That was so dark.
It was. So Gacy's there, and he says where they're at, and he says it's asked, why does tragedy unite us when it should be triumph? He says there should be a better way, and I put that on my shoulders. Says I will unite people. I can only hope we freely choose peace. We don't have to suffer loss or tragedy ever again. But that all depends on you.
Dude, I was floored. Because, man, I didn't listen to a word of what he said. I was just they came up on the screen, and I think I was texting you some bullshit, and then I look up at the TV. I'm like, oh my God. Dealey Plaza.
I know. I was flabbergasted.
It was pretty
flabbergasted.
It's pretty clever, to be honest with you. Yeah, man, that was something else right there.
It was something else. After that, we had the women's Fatal 4-Way Championship bout: Cora Jade versus Kaylee Ray versus Io Shirai versus Mandy Rose. This was a really fun match. It was really fun.
Yeah, no, this was a blast. This was an absolute blast. Mandy Rose and that Volt, man, that was something else. That was pretty awesome.
Gigi and JC had Volt gear too.
$1 million, man. $1 million. Volt was sort of the color we had Sasha and
the weekend.
Naomi winning the tag titles with the Volt Lambo. Lambo.
We got to see Cora hit a destroyer on Kaylee Ray on the apron.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
Yeah.
That was pretty nuts. Finish this Cora hit running knee, a sliced bread paradigm shift. Kaylee Ray breaks up the pin, and then she hits Cora with the headbutt, a KLR bomb. She goes up top. Io pushes her off. She's looking for she hits a moonsault on Cora, and then Mandy hits her with the V trigger, pins her to get the win.
Yeah, it was a nice looking finishing sequence right there.
Yeah, it was
really
bang, bang,
good.
bang. The whole match was really fast paced.
Yeah,
and really, really good. Really solid.
It was good stuff. Cora still needs that like one-on-one match, dude. Everybody keeps on getting in her matches. After that, we had Index going shopping. Of course, they had their big like poll, who's the sexier couple thing here, and so it was like a whole musical montage type situation where Indy wants to make Dexter the sexiest cowboy in Texas, and then of course Dusha does the same. Duke and Persia, they do the same, and then it's time to vote on the hottest couple in NXT. Now, I was again half paying attention. How was this vote being handled? Like, how was this going?
That's my question as well, because was it? I don't know if it was like a Twitter poll earlier in the show, or if it was just something they just completely manufactured out of thin air.
Given the results, I don't know. Like, do you think that these results would have been like within any amount of reason? It was 89-11. This was a comically kayfabed poll. Maggie says, I think they were using the hashtag, but she says, I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, I don't know. 89% to 11. I feel. My brownie says I had a Twitter poll. Really?
Here, I'll look.
89% to 11. I mean, I don't know. The Indy and Dex, they got the name recognition. They are a very sexy couple. Dexter Lumis did look really good as a cowboy. He's got that mustache. He did. Duke, as always, in pretty much everything he does, looked uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Dusha is a terrible name. So
awful.
I kind of get, maybe I could see 80-20, but 89-11?
Yeah.
Yeah, Maggie, that's right. The black and teal looked amazing on Dexter.
Yeah, that was a quality shirt.
He was prime cowboy.
Trying to find those.
So yeah, well, you look
Twitter
that up.
See if there's...
they're there, and like as right before they're about to announce the results, Persia grabs Duke, and they start, playing tonsil hockey, and then the other two do that as well. They start sucking face, and we get the results: 89% to 11%. Duke's pissed off. He knocks the hat off Dexter's head. They start pushing each other. Fucking Dexter cracked me up because he just stuck his arm out like that. It was a very serial killer-esque movement. Like, if he had a knife, he was going for a stab right there. It was pretty funny.
Well, I don't see a poll on Twitter offhand.
Well, who knows? Maybe
they could have done it and taken it down. Who knows?
Yeah, I feel like they would have at least got 20%, but what do I know?
Yeah. Then we had Walter taking on LA Knight.
Yeah.
LA Knight.
Yeah. LA Knight was super
match.
over in the fucking, even in the big venue there. They went away from the people like LA Knight, man. Send this guy up to main roster.
They should. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. He'll get himself over there too.
Have him be.
This is just one of those things where he's gotten himself over.
People like LA Knight. You know what?
Yeah.
This dude had talk shows and Impact. Give him a talk show.
Yeah,
I'd watch an LA Knight talk show.
He could do that. He could do a good talk show.
Night Moves.
There. Wow, what a great name. Great name. Nighttime.
That's good. That's good. I kind of like Night Moves better.
Yeah, Night Moves is better.
Night Moves.
License some Bob Seger.
Why not? Can't be that expensive.
I got Seven Nation Army for Pat McAfee last night.
Get Night Moves for Night Moves.
There you go.
Oh, man.
Or at least have someone cover it. I don't know. Anyways, LA Knight made this somewhat competitive. Actually, surprisingly competitive. He gets a burning hammer on Walter. Gets him a 2 count.
This is Gunther, man. You texted us, and you were like, what's the deal with they changed Walter's theme song? And what did me and the Enforcer both tell you, dude?
I know. You try to say there's no more Walter. It's Gunther. I understand that.
It just makes things easier when they inevitably turn him into a guy who shows up for 7-minute matches. It makes it easier. It's not Walter.
It's the most generic music. It's the most generic.
Why would
music.
they have done that?
Like, I'm pretty sure his theme is like public domain.
Right. It's just they get the performance that you have.
They just have someone else.
They
have someone in house record their own version of it.
Yeah. It's iconic.
Yeah.
It's iconic.
I know.
Why would they have done this? It's terrible.
Because they're trying to take everything that made Walter.
That's always the. I know. That's always the thing.
That's what it is.
It's because he can use the same music when he goes somewhere else. That's what it is. That's what it is. He can use that same music when he goes somewhere else. I always have to, I don't know why I always ask questions when it always comes back to that.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. They just have Cody came in using his theme that he used in AEW.
Oh, because they took it. They took it.
I know. But he can leave and use that again. I'm sure he licensed that song.
Yeah, who knows if the world's going to be around in a couple of years. It's a multi-year deal, man.
I mean, there's that. Anyways, Walter wins. He hits a splash off the top on the LA Knight's back, follows with the power bomb. No full body pin. Seemingly took that away from Walter too.
But this is Gunther. He doesn't do the full body pin.
He did do it. He has done it as Gunther.
It was an accident. He fell.
He fell. He forgot he was Gunther for a second, huh?
Yeah, man. A brain prank. Like me earlier in the
show. Then we got our main event, Braun Breaker versus Dolph. They keep having these silly gimmick entrances for Braun. This one, he had a chainsaw. And he comes to the stage. And there's confetti raining down. Oh, sorry. A motherfucking chainsaw.
Thank you.
There's confetti raining down. And there's these giant foam letters, NXT. And they're all, brightly colored like NXT is. My favorite part is he lowers the safety glasses.
I was concerned about that
Safety
because
first.
he had them on his head even backstage when he first picked up this goofy chainsaw. And then he goes out there and I'm like, man, some of that fucking styrofoam is going to kick back into your eyes. Put those things on. And as soon as I thought that, he went, safety first.
Safety first.
The face, man. You got to be, Meanwhile, his uncle was out walking with a tiger. He had a tiger entrance.
Yeah, no.
Can't wear safety goggles for that one, man.
This is, again, a really good match. Really good match. Braun kept going to the same well too many times, though. Kept on going for spears.
Yeah, it's kind of, he was just jamming that one button right there.
He really was. He really was. He really was.
Yeah.
At the end, though, Braun does hit another spear. Looks for his finish after hitting it earlier.
I appreciate that they ejected Rude from the match. And then he just decided to come back anyways. He was like, whatever.
So he looks for the power slam finish. Dolph sticks a finger in his eye. Earlier, Dolph had exposed one of the turnbuckles while the ref was distracted with Bob Roode. Shoved Braun into it. Hits a super kick to get the win. Retains the NXT championship. I'm hoping if Braun, out of the title picture, we get Carmelo Hayes put into it. Give us Carmelo versus Dolph for the title and have Carmelo Hayes win it.
It's like an all HBK. Did you notice Carmelo? You did because I texted you, but it was great watching Carmelo's gear was
and Trick
and Trick had the matching pattern shirt. Yeah, it was a shout out to HBK's ladder match against Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, SummerSlam, the second one. Yeah, it looked really good. But Dolph Ziggler, the guy that a lot of people have said sort of mimics Shawn Michaels in his selling anyways. A lot of stuff. He's got the super kick, all that shit. And then, of course, Carmelo Hayes, who clearly HBK loves and et cetera, et cetera. So, I could see if HBK is running the show over there, he's like, I'm going to put my two guys, Vidman.
Entirely possible. Entirely possible. Are you ready for your Raw preview, Steve?
Oh, man, I'm excited. Yeah, what do we got?
We got 3 items here. Undisputed WWE Universal Champ Roman Reigns to make an address on Raw in the wake of WrestleMania.
Ooh.
Nothing here about any injury. So hopefully all's good.
Interesting.
Cody Rhodes makes his return to Monday Night Raw.
It's only smoking me.
You should look at the thumbnail for this because he's like really intently staring.
Exciting. Let me see.
Really.
WWE
and then Veer makes his highly anticipated debut on Raw.
Let's see here.
That is your
Raw.
Raw.
Oh my God.
Preview.
Cody looks very intense.
He looks super intense.
He's about to exhale here. He's like,
it does look like an inhale.
It does. It looks like an inhale. It looks like he's about to shoot his eye lasers at something.
It really does, yeah. You see his forehead got all jacked up from his match with Seth? It was all like swollen and bruised.
Oh, really? What a mess.
Yeah. And also, according to PW Insider, no Gable Steveson. He flew back to Minnesota.
They were like, what are those tattoos? Got those touched up. They look like amateur hour. Yeah, Veer coming. Telling you, man, he shows up. I just came.
Just slowly nods off to sleep.
Yeah. He's got a big stain on his pants.
Oh,
all right. Let's go ahead and answer some questions. We have a thread on the Twitter, twitter.com/@realgoinginraw, whatever it is. 108,000 channel here. Points for me, man. Good job, Steve.
How many?
108.
Oh, well done.
Are you still over, you're still over 200, aren't you?
I got almost 219.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
B-Man says, who should face McAfee next, and how would you book it?
Just SmackDown commentator Pat McAfee. That's exactly how I'd book it.
I wouldn't mind seeing him in the ring again.
Yeah,
he always puts on entertaining matches.
Okay, we'll do this. How about this? This is because my answer was boring and stupid. I'm sorry. SummerSlam rolls around, and they repackage Drew Gulak.
Oh, I got it.
I want somebody to start. Here's my general thesis, then you can go.
All right.
Somebody starts bullying Michael Cole. And so Pat McAfee stands up. Remember that time Dio Madden tried to stand up for like one of the announcers?
Oh, yeah.
And then Brock Lesnar like erased him from the WWE. Yeah. All right. Now what's your story? Go ahead.
So mine is much sillier than that. So you repackage maybe Drew Gulak, somebody else, as the long snapper from Pat's high school football team.
That's amazing.
And he comes in and just starts talking a bunch of trash about Pat, about how he's not a very good punter.
Yeah, that's good.
All this stuff. Maybe make it college. And that's it. That's the feud.
I love it. I think that's amazing. And it's like clearly just Drew Gulak still.
I know. He's got shoulder pads on now.
Oh, I like it. I like that a lot. Yeah, that's good. How about this? You call up Andre Chase from Chase University.
Oh, that's good.
To feud with Pat McAfee.
That'd be good.
But it's all because Michael Cole wanted to get he wanted to go and get another degree. He's like, what?
He went to Chase U. Yeah.
Done a lot. I've been WWE here for 25 years, going on 30 years or whatever it is. And I want to further my education, because I know you and I have often talked about, man, it'd be kind of cool to go back to school. Michael Cole wants to do it. He chooses Chase University. He's heard all sorts of good stuff. He sells some literature and catering. Yeah. And he was like, oh, wow, this is interesting for me. Well, he goes to class and Andre Chase is just blasting him. Fuck you. Get out of here, Michael Cole. You don't know shit.
Yeah.
And then Pat McAfee finds out and puts a clobber into Andre Chase.
It's good.
Yeah.
Russell Dude, which AEW match result would you reverse? Punk versus Eddie Kingston or Pinnacle versus Inner Circle?
Oh, easily Punk versus Kingston. That should have been Kingston's first big win, man.
Maggie, happy birthday again, Maggie.
Happy birthday, Maggie.
It says, for Mr. President, I'm manifesting a Bayley return tonight. What's your favorite Bayley match?
Oh, this is easy. It's that Brooklyn match with Sasha Banks, the takeover one. Oh, just a beautiful piece of.
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
one of
beautiful.
The best 3 NXT matches of all time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe the best.
And then she has a question for you. Says my tribal snake chief. Assuming crisis of confidence, Becky, who should she face first?
Rhea Ripley.
Oh, that's a good one. Let's see here. Blake Elizondo, on a scale of 1 to 10, how annoying will it be when WWE goes out of its way to push Cody's return as a huge deal without mentioning AEW? I think they got to reference. He'll be sort of circular about it. They won't say the words.
No, and I don't expect them to, and because I don't expect them to, I don't think I'll be as bothered by it.
Yeah, I don't get annoyed by that stuff. I don't think it's a big deal.
I don't either.
It's like it's reality. It's just we know what we're doing. What we're dealing with here.
Jason Lewis says, power rank the stunner cells from Mania. Number 1's Austin Theory for me. That was great.
The big over the top one. See, I'd actually go number 1 Pat McAfee because he did the fountain.
That would be number 2 for me.
Yeah.
Number 2 for me.
Number 2 for me would be Byron. Because the whole setup was, why are you doing this?
Yeah, no. And he actually had an objectively really good sell.
Number 3 would be Austin Theory. He did a bang up job, just a killer sell. Yeah. And then number 4, although
Kevin Owens.
No, 4 would be McMahon, because I've never seen Austin laugh that hard before.
Oh. All right.
And then, like, you guys got to check out Mick Foley's Twitter feed. His son was taping him, recording him react to the stunner, and he was. It reminded me when I get wheezy when I laugh. Mm-hmm. He was dying laughing. Austin seemed like he was having such a good time. For that alone, it was worth it. I'm gonna make it a GIF here for one of our alerts. And then would be the Owens one. I thought Owens just did a solid job. I thought he did what he was supposed to do. A solid match finishing seller stun.
Yeah.
Stunner sell. That's what I meant to say.
Nikyle named 3 wrestlers, 2 male, 1 female, to join Edge's new faction. What would this faction be named?
So I'm going to put Liv Morgan in there.
I saw a lot of talk about Dijak joining, and I think that'd be great.
Dijak would be good. Yeah, Dijak's good. And then the football player Drew Gulak will be portraying for your Pat McAfee storyline.
Good.
That too.
Good, and that's our gateway from Gulak versus Pat McAfee to Edge versus Pat McAfee.
Exactly. That's perfect. Anthony Tobias, what brand do you think any of the NXT call-ups would fit? Well, Champa, I think, would fit on Raw. I think that makes sense. Although, man, SmackDown should start fucking building up that upper mid card.
I know. If Braun gets called up, he's probably going to get called to SmackDown.
It should be SmackDown.
It should be SmackDown.
Yeah, I agree.
What about EO? Oh, EO, SmackDown. Have a feud with Charlotte.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one.
Blake Elizondo, now that Cody's in WWE, what is the best and worst moments of Cody in AEW? The best, for sure, are his match against Dustin at the first Double or Nothing. His match against Sammy, the ladder match. That time, Malachi kicked him in the head and just stood on his chest to pin him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was pretty spectacular.
Yeah, the fire table spot with Andrade was, I thought, great. Obviously, the Sammy Guevara ladder match was great. The America promo clearly was the low moment, And then also during the ladder match when he wouldn't let the camera get off him for the ladder match.
Yeah,
that was a low moment as well.
It's not. This is neither a high nor a low moment. But that time when he came back after doing the first season of Go Big Show, and for some reason he had like really dark hair, and his suits were a little different, and that lasted all like 2 weeks.
Here's a simultaneous high moment and low moment where he showed up in nerdy fucking Star Trek uniforms. Mm-hmm. I'm like, look, dude, I appreciate that. I know more about Star Trek than I do about wrestling, and it's sad. But I don't want to see that shit. You look like a dork. There's nothing worse. I've never seen good Star Trek cosplay. Like every once in a while, Jeff will send me like pictures of like Star Trek cosplay from conventions just to have a laugh. The uniforms are always so poorly made. Like whenever they try to make the Starfleet uniforms, because like the turtlenecks are either too big or like the pips on the uniforms are too like weird and big. It never looks like it's like TV ready. Yeah. It always looks like dog shit. And that's what he reminded me. And MJF had to wear it too. God, they almost buried MJF in that one entrance.
Lord Ziffer, should Edge's new faction get a new member right away, Champa, or should we get Edge and Priest versus Styles and Balor at WrestleMania Backlash? We should get that match, then new member.
The OG OC right there, man.
Yeah.
Make some really bad Bullet Club shirts.
Dominic Malnar, did last night have some of the best stunner cells of all time? What are your favorite stunner cells in wrestling history? It did. I still think Scott Hall at WrestleMania 18 is my favorite, though.
Sergeant Slaughter, he actually spikes himself on a stunner.
Yeah.
That was my favorite one. I'd never even seen that until I did like a compilation for Wrestle Juice. It was fucking hilarious. I was laughing so hard at that one.
Metacon, what some small detail you noticed that you really liked this weekend? For example, I really enjoyed how Montez Ford yelped before Riddle gave him an RKO off the top rope. You guys rock as always. Have a good one. Thank you, Metacon. We didn't mention the recap, and people did mention it in our comments, is that when after Vince beat Pat McAfee, they hit Austin Theory's music, and Vince turned around towards the ramp like he was scared.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. It was Vince's beer sipping. It was the...
Oh, yeah.
Because I think it legitimately broke Stone Cold. Anyways, that's going to do it for us. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, talk to you later.
8 matches is too few. It needs to be at least 9 or 10. Goodbye, everybody.